The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for logging in and attending this webinar. I hope that you can hear me well. If you can hear me well, please make some sign on the chat area. Just tell me that you can hear me. Okay, I just got some answers that you can hear me. That's really cool. That means that we can proceed with the webinar. It's 9 o'clock here in Warsaw, Poland. I'm broadcasting from Warsaw, from Poland. I know that it's 10 o'clock of your time in Romania. I will be starting right now, so we don't have, so we are not wasting time. I'm not sure how many of you have attended a webinar that I have delivered in December, so 4 months ago, quite a long time ago, and the title was quite similar, but in the webinar in December, I was talking about the benefits of AC collection, so the benefits of the set of a bundle of different products that Autodesk is selling. Today, this webinar today will be much more technical and will be much more, let's say, focused on the almost like tips and clicks and how really to, how to work technically with 2D drawings and how to make a BIM model out of it. So it will be much more, just a little bit of PowerPoint presentation and much more, let's say, technical and live presentation on the product. However, before I start showing you the the product live and how to, where to click and how to make a BIM model out of 2D, I'll make a very short introduction again to what about the and again, I'm not going to speak about the benefits of AC collection, but I'm going to just very generally, in a couple of slides, I'm going to get you familiar with what BIM is and how do we, what are the benefits of BIM. But very, very quickly again. So of course, you know, why should you start thinking about implementing BIM in your workflow? Of course, it's all about benefits that you know, include effective collaboration, which you cannot even, you know, compare with a traditional conventional 2D method of working. You have much better you know, communication between different you know, actors, members of this workflow. You have, so because of the model, because of the information that is included in the model, you have much far better cost control of the entire life cycle of your project. And if you have better cost control, you better understand, and you have a better insight on how your project, you know, how much does it cost you. You have, of course, much better you know, much increased productivity, because again, because of the 3D model and all the 2D documentation resulting out of this model, you have much fewer you know, project errors, and of course greater transparency, because it's like everything is, if you have a BIM model, you are much more focused on a project itself and much less focused on, you know, all this kind of hand rework. You know, you're spending much less time on, you know, checking for the errors, checking for the consistency of your project, and so on. It's much more, you're gaining a lot, because all you know, all the tasks that computer can do is done, right? So you're concentrating on what the designer, you're concentrating on your productivity and on your creativity much more than on some things that can be automatized and done by the computer. We've done several surveys in different times, and the answer that because we've, as Autodesk, we have asked customers, our customers, what in different of course different regions of the world, and the answer, and we have asked them, so what is the what do you see as the main benefit of BIM once you have implemented, you know, building information modeling in your workflow in your office? What is the most tangible and visible benefit that you can see? And of course, and the funny thing is that 98% of responders said that it's better understanding. So it's even not errors, not bad cost control, but they said, okay, with BIM, we understand better our project, because with all these 3D, you know, views, and with all this, let's say, immediate insight and access to all the data, I am able to, let's say, explain my project not only to my investor, but also explain my project to my fellows, to my colleagues in the office. You know, I'm able to understand better what the structural engineer is doing, or a mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineer is doing, right? And of course, because you know, I have this access to the data at any time, all the time, my design is much better optimized. It's optimized also because with BIM, with this, let's say, with the approach that we have with BIM model, it's also very easy, much easier to let's say to change your project. So introduction of any change is, let's say, much easier. Why? Because all the documentation, all the 2D drawings are resulting from the 3D model, which means that if I, you know, move my wall in a floor plan, this change, this update is being propagated to all the views that are depending on from this move, from this change. So which means that I have updated all the sections, all the elevations, all the, you know, details, and above all, also the schedule, right? So I'm also, it costs me less to iterate and to change my design and to to find the most optimal version of the project, which was not that easy and not and very time consuming with the traditional methods in 2D. I have an 85% of the responders said that there's of course fewer errors, right? Because since my model reflects my 2D documentation and vice versa, my 2D documentation reflects what I have in the model, of course my documentation is much more consistent, and I'm also able to trace and to see and to get rid of most of the errors. 85% as well have answered that of course it improves my schedule, and by schedule we mean not only the fact that in the model I have included all the all the information about the quantities, about the the quantity of material, but unitary quantities, but also what I can include in my BIM model is also time. So which means that my 3D model can, with our tools, with the BIM model, can be turned into not only 3D but also in a 4 and 5D by adding cost and also time. Okay, so that's why I'm with such tools I'm much able, especially as a construction company or as investor, but also as an architect, foresee, predict how my project will will be delivered and will be executed on site. This is a big value, because I'm able to get rid of the and predict a lot of things which are just not possible to be predicted with, let's say, with a traditional paper based workflow. And of course, the 72% greater cost predictability, that's something which relates to improved schedule, in my opinion. It's again, it's about, because if we are able to design, if you are able to make a 5D model which includes costs and time, then of course we are able to predict the cost in the along the range of how when the project is being executed. Again, I'm not gonna speak too much into the detail about the benefits. If you want to, there's a lot of documentation in internet about what else, like to be more to saying that much more in detail what do we mean by 5D and what are the use cases of all these benefits. I'm not gonna step too much into the detail. I'm not gonna speak about the I'm done with benefits, and I just want to show you this slide showing that today's presentation, today's webinar will be delivered using just two ingredients of something that's called AC Collection. Autodesk is selling its products, its software as a bundle, so you have a lot of different products in one package. Again, I'm not going to speak about all of them. Of course, today I'm going to concentrate only on Revit and AutoCAD. Revit is like the most important, like kind of a flagship of BIM. And I'm going to show you how to make, actually technically, how to make a Revit BIM model based on a very simple 2D traditional 2D drawings. Okay, and just before again I switch to Revit and to software, I'm gonna just show you very quickly these last three slides about what we're gonna do. A little bit of treat this as a kind of agenda of what we're gonna do today. So yeah, of course, in Revit Revit BIM model lets you to create Revit BIM, not BIM model, it's the final result, but software Revit lets you create data-rich models from traditional 2D documents. The BIM model can be, and by the BIM model, we mean not only the building or not only the office, okay, but BIM model can be any civil or industrial construction project with a structure and systems. It can be also terrain or any civil engineering objects as a bridge, even a bridge, viaduct, or tunnel. So BIM is not only a house or an office building, okay? BIM model is anything that contains a geometry and information included in that geometry. To come a little bit more into the detail, Revit can import or link, and I'm going to explain the difference in a few moments, a traditional 2D CAD files in format such as DWG, DXF, and DGN. And with that, you are creating a base or underlay for future modeling. What you have to understand, of course, it's that 2D drawing, and probably this might be the most difficult and most complicated moment, because of course 2D drawing does not contain any. So it's a very simple information. It does not contain any sophisticated information like the BIM model does. That's why very often, in most cases, 99% of cases, we'll have to. So creating a model is not an automatic kind of one-click process, right? So it is not just that you import 2D drawings and then click and voila, and you have immediately a BIM model. That doesn't happen in this way. You need to put some efforts, you need some work into it. However, Revit has, set of tools which make this process of making a model based on 2D drawings very intuitive, quite easy, quite straightforward, and pretty fast. Okay, let's go further. What is also important is that, as I told you at like 2 slides before, BIM model is not only a building, it's also a tunnel or a bridge. And that's why in Revit, you can also perform terrain modeling. So it's not only the walls, the concrete columns, and so on. It's also that a model terrain in Revit. It's called the topo surface. You can create this topo surface, this terrain, based on different formats. In terms of topo surface, sometimes it may look that it's even more sophisticated than building a, let's say, elements of the building, because you can also get it very kind of automatically by, for example, importing a land XML file. Okay, and you have a special tool in Revit which allows you to model this terrain in a relatively fast and let's say non-manual way. Okay, the same happens if you have a comma delimited CSV file. Then basically, so if you have already a 3D information, not model, but 3D information about the model of the terrain, then Revit can do it almost automatically. If you do not have, if you have just a flat 2D, map, of course, then we have to make it by hand, and I'm gonna show it today to you. Okay, so let's start. This is my Revit file, my Revit software. I'm gonna open any template, and of course what I have here is a DWG flat drawing. Okay, what you have to remember before you start importing anything into Revit is that, of course, you have to think about making this how do you gonna use this information out of the, let's say, to build up the model, right? So if, for example, what I did here is a floor plan of a building and sections separated in 2 different files, because of course what I'm gonna do, I will have to import this file into Revit, and what is really important is that these files should be cleaned up before importing them into Revit. So you remove all the unnecessary, lines, points, unnecessary text, which you will not be using in Revit, because first of all, you have to remember that importing DWG 2D file into Revit is makes the model, the Revit file, a little bit heavier than usually, because DWG or DXF or DGN file can contain a lot of information, 2D information, which you may not be using while building a model. Okay, not every information has to be used while building a model. Okay, so what is also very important is to understand, if you have your plan view, you have to understand where is your zero in the DWG. Okay, because of course we have to somehow combine both coordinate systems, right? So of course both software, Revit and AutoCAD, or any other CAD software, not necessarily AutoCAD, they all have some coordinate systems. And of course, if I look for my coordinate system in AutoCAD, 0, 0, 0, this point here is 0, 0. And now how to position this automatically into Revit, and again how to take this file and put it into the Revit. So I will open my my Revit. As you can see here, Revit, I'm not going to again step too much into the detail and explain you how Revit works, because maybe 1 hour webinar, it's just not enough time. But what I'm going to show you is just that I'm going to explain you very briefly that you have in Revit, you have something like project browser, in which you have different views, like for example level 1, level 2, and also have elevations. And then I also have a 3D view, which right now doesn't show me anything because I don't have placed here anything yet. But if I open, for example, east elevation, you will see that my 3D space in Revit is basically kind of sliced with these levels, right? And I have level 1, level 2, and these levels have their own quota here, like 0 for 4,000 millimeters and so on. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna open the level 1, which is the first level, right? What I can also do is I can go to manage and I can see what project units I am using right now in my project. So I'm using millimeters, which, and you have to also understand that Revit is a little bit works when it comes to the units, works a little bit different than AutoCAD, because actually what happens is it's quite an unusual thing for the AutoCAD users. Maybe that sounds, it will sound quite unusual, that Revit is like basically you're working in Revit in scale 1:1. Okay, so don't worry if you have millimeters here or meters or whatever other units, because you will be working in 1:1 scale in Revit anyways, and you are scaling your project, your view, only through this little thing here in the bottom, which allows you to set the scale. And this basically is shrinking or making bigger your 1:1 model. Okay, so the way how you work in Revit is a little bit different. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to insert. So because of course I'm gonna insert my 2D CAD into Revit, and then what you need to do is you have to decide either you want to link your model or you want to import your model. What is important is that, like, important to know is that if you are linking your model, that means that you are just importing a reference into Revit. If I import my CAD here, this means that I'm gonna bring a 2D CAD into Revit model. I'm gonna insert my 2D CAD into Revit. Okay, this means that if I save my Revit model with a CAD imported, I can send it to someone, or I can just move it, and this 2D CAD will follow my file. Okay, very comfortable, but remember, this also has some limits or some disadvantages, because if I import my CAD, this means that I cannot change or I cannot update to the AutoCAD file anymore or any CAD file anymore, right? Because it's already here in Revit. If I link this, okay, I'm gonna put my pianta, my floor plan into into my model. This means that I can still be able to work on AutoCAD file, on DWG file, whatever, on the CAD, any other CAD file, right? Doesn't have to be AutoCAD. It can be any CAD format file. So I'll be able to work on it, and if I save it here, the changes will be updated. Sometimes I need to refresh it, but nevertheless, it will be updated. If I import it, it will not update. Okay, so basically it's a file which has been taken away and inserted forever into Revit model. Okay, so again, if I go to insert and I go to link CAD, here I'm selecting my file, and here I have plenty of different tools to select. And for example, I can select one of these, DWG, DXF, DGN, SAT, and so on. So I can select some of these CAD files. Okay, computer aided design. This is CAD, right? That's the abbreviation. And if I select one of these, I can of course select that I want to preserve all the colors. Okay, I want to include all the levels of my CAD drawing, or I can, for example, specify, and I can, in the moment I'm going to opening this, he will ask me what layers you want to specify. Then I can also decide about importing units, and I can change them to, for example, meters. Okay, immediately I can turn it off, because what Revit will tend is that if you have like very small angles, for example, in line, like line is a line out in CAD looks like it's straight, looks like it was straight, but in reality in AutoCAD it has some like 0.0002 degrees of inclination, then Revit will tend to make them straight. So if you turn it off, then you'll be exactly the same, you import exactly the same DWG. Here, this is also important. Here I can specify how I'm gonna import my DWG or the DXF file, CAD file into Revit. And if I select origin to origin, this means that if I click open, okay, he will place, of course, 0 into a 0. So I'm sure that my, let's say, coordinate systems have been covered. One has been put onto another. And here he's asking me what kind of layers you want to include into your while importing it. Okay, I'm gonna put cancel for the moment because I want to import. So I'm gonna link again, select my file, preserve. I'm gonna take all my layers. I'm also include all the sorry, I'm gonna also position origin to origin. So I'm gonna cover the Revit's coordinate system with DW, so with the CAD coordinate system. I'm gonna also leave this tick current view only. I'm gonna leave it alone. Okay, I'm gonna hit OK. Okay, and here he inserted my DWG into Revit. And if I'm gonna open the 3D view, you can see this 3D view also in sorry, this CAD file also in 3D view. What is also, so if I'm going to open the elevation view, you also see it in basically this CAD file will be seen in every view, which sometimes is a little bit, let's say, can be a little bit disturbing. So what I can also do, I can go to link CAD, I can select my DWG, I can say, okay, I'm going to preserve all the layers, so colors, layers, import units will be meter, origin to origin. I'm going to put it onto level 1. And then I can also set this is a current view only. I'm going to hit open. Of course, it's importing here, but now if I open the 3D view, it's not visible, which sometimes can be really important and really easy, or not easy, it will be just more useful and more handy, because some DWGs, you know that they can be very big and they can be very detailed. And if you open them also in 3D, sometimes it can be a little bit, not really handy, not really comfortable to have like a very complicated and very complex 2D CAD in 3D view. Okay, so I have my my plan, my floor plan view here imported. What I'm gonna do, and of course here I can also say that I don't need all the layers, of course, and I can also somehow turn these layers off and on while working with it. Okay, so for example, I'm gonna just click on my TWG, and what I'm gonna do, I have here this icon on the top called query. Okay, I'm gonna hit query, and here, look, he's already snapping or feeling that these elements are completely different lines and layers, right? So I'm gonna turn off import instance query hide in view. Okay, then it's disappearing, right? This one, hide in view. Okay, this one, hide in view. I don't need that. Okay, hide in view. For the moment, I don't need that. Hide in view. Okay, this here, for example, hide in view. For the moment, I'm gonna turn it off. If I wanted to go back and turn these layers on again, what I need to do is I just hit twice escape, and here you can go to visibility graphics, okay, and in amongst the imported categories you have here my floor plan, and here I have also the layers which has been turned off, the visibility has been turned off, right? So I can still, you know, height of rooms I can be still turned on or turned off depending on the need and depending on the, you know, on the what do I want to see in my yeah, in my floor, on my floor plan. Okay, now I have imported my my floor plan, right? But now I want to also include some. This is just too few information. I also want to include my section view in my model, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a section in Revit. As you can see, having a section in Revit is super easy because what you do, you just click on this icon here on the top menu, or you go to View and Section here, okay? And depending on, you know, on of course the direction of where the section is looking, I can, if I do like this, okay, I have my section almost done, right? What you can also do before the insertion, because of course sometimes it will not snap to my to the lines. What I can do, I can also go to File before, sorry, to Architecture, and before I start drawing it, I can also help myself with, look, with drawing a grids. You know, these grids will significantly help me to, for example, to grab all these, let's say, you know, middle lines and so on, right? So if I create my my grid line here by snapping to the midpoints, and also here, okay, and by here he's also immediately, as you can see here, there are plenty of great tools in Revit which you can, as you can see here, he's snapping already that these two lines are, so these two grids are parallel, right? So if I go like here, I know that this distance is, so these two grids are completely parallel. If I go back again and say view section, and now, oh, I'm sure that everything is orthogonal, right? So I've created this section view, okay, and now if I go either right click and go to view, or for example I can also go directly to my section, because, and I can, for example, right click here and say rename, and this is my D prim section, okay, so it already has its own name. It's very easy. I can be more precise that this section is precisely here, okay. I just go to view or open just my DD section. Here sometimes you may see something like not really, let's say, yeah, I just see this strange square, which means that he's just limiting the view extents. Okay, so I'm gonna just do not crop the view and hide this let's say this region, and now I can, if I zoom out, I should be seeing also the Oh, wait a second, because I don't see my levels right now here, because probably I have to extend them like really on left and right, because they have to enter in the range of view of this section, my DD section. Yes, now I see them. Okay, so now I see that somehow I have this DD section. I have my grid number 1 or 2. So if I go back here, right, this is my D and D prim. And what I can do now, I can go and open my section file, and I can find my DD section. Okay, where's my DD? It's here, right? It's here. So what I'm gonna do, I will take it now, and I can also do something like go back to Revit, go back to my section view, go do insert, link CAD, or not import, link CAD, select sections, keep all layers, import in meters, origin to origin, and then do something like current view only has to be turned on. Okay, so if I go open, to find my DD section, which is this one, right? Let's remember. No, this is A. Oh, where is that? It's here. Right? Right. So this is my DD section, and now what I have to do is just maybe unpin it because it's pinned, and move it like this up to here. Okay. And again, look, but everything is perfect because I have like, this is my quota 00, so I can go and say modify. I can use align, select my level, right? Align it to the level 0. So my quota 00 will be effectively 00 of the project. What I need to do, of course, manually probably to move this. So, of course, not like this, but I can go back, can select once again and put it maybe here, right? So more or less I am in the middle, right? 1 and 2. And what I can do now is I can take my level, okay, my level 2, okay, this level, and of course adjust its quota to the level of the floor, which I have here. Okay, so I do align again, select and align, right? So now, at least in this area, my buildings are perfectly fit. My building, like my 2D documentation together with the with the future model, okay, with all the settings ready to start modeling. Okay, so let's get started. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go and open level 1. Okay, I'm gonna just to let you know what's happening. I'm also what I'm gonna do is I will open 2 views. Okay, right now in my 3D view I don't see anything yet. Okay, I'm gonna put my 3D view beside my my plan view, and what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna start building my my walls and my BIM elements. However, before I'm gonna do the last thing, before I'm gonna do that, I will make sure that in my section view, okay, which is here, of course, in this section, the great thing about Revit is that I can create very quickly multiple views, and of course I don't want to have my section views in one line like here. First of all, it'll be very difficult to put them on one sheet. So what I want to do, I want to turn on again my my crop region. Okay, I'm gonna use only this area. Actually, this is what I'm interested in, and again I'm gonna crop view. Okay, that's my section view. What I'm gonna do, because I have level 0, level 2, and what I need to do now, of course, is to somehow also find this level, right? Because my walls will go from 0 to somewhere here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to architecture, I'm gonna put a level, and I'm gonna introduce one more level, level 3, okay? And more or less it will be, let's say that I'm gonna, yeah, let's put it somehow here, okay? Later on, the cool thing is that we can adjust it. So if I put it very, very low, you will see that later on I'll be able to drag it up and drop it down, okay? And the entire model will update. So what happens now? So I will go back to my level 1. Okay, I will close all my views and reopen the 3D view and put the tile view. So I will see the 3D here beside my 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 plan view. So the next step is to click on architecture, then select a wall. Okay, now I have some standard set of walls, okay, which doesn't mean that I cannot create a new completely custom wall, right? So if I measure, for example, the thickness of this wall, it seems that according to my plan view, this wall will have 51 centimeters of thickness. Okay, so this means that I have to create a new type of wall which will have 51 centimeters, which means that I can go here, wall, I can edit type, I can duplicate the type because I don't want to lose my generic 200 millimeters wall. I want my generic 51 or whatever 10 millimeters, 510 millimeters, 510 millimeters wall. Go here, and right now I'm not gonna even specify material. I can, of course, I can say already now that this is gonna be out of concrete if it's not true, but let's say that it's a concrete masonry unit, okay? So bricks, big bricks made of concrete. Let's say that I want to approximate, the material this building is already made of, okay? And of course I have to change here the thickness to 0.51 because of course the main units are meters. Okay, here this is just a name, I can put it, yeah, like 51 centimeters. This up to me how I'm gonna name my walls, okay? Here, additionally, I can even, Revit will calculate me something like, some parameters like heat transfer coefficient, thermal resistance. These numbers are all based on the material I put here, and of course, each material in Revit has its own physical and thermal parameters. And this is BIM, right? This is a lot of information, very valuable information, which I'm gonna put very quickly to my model right from the beginning. I'm gonna click OK, OK, and now, of course, I can. First of all, the thing is that how do I now position the new wall? The first thing I have to know is that probably this wall will go from the level 1 to the level 3 to the very top, right? Then location, okay, location line. Maybe I'm not gonna use the wall center because, well, my grids, let's say, are almost in the center, but maybe it's not so super precise. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use my finish face exterior, okay? And here I'm gonna use pick lines. Look what happens. I just picked my line. I'm gonna switch to, and look what happened. Revit immediately started to place an element in 3D view as well. I'm gonna put maybe shaded view so it's more visible. And what next? I'm gonna just hit create similar, select again pick line. Of course I can, I can also go like create similar, and just start draw this line manually, okay? But of course this is like an old building, so it might happen that okay, no, it's fine. So it might happen that they are not always straight lines, so there's a lot of like kinky lines, so it might take a lot of time to to draw one by one. So that's why Revit has a lot of very nice tools, like for example, create similar, so create wall, pick line, and instead of picking and drawing, I can just pick, chop, chop, chop. It is very fast, right? And so on. And the same here from the other side, right? So this is my wall, this is my wall, this is my wall, this is my wall, right? So there is no any fully automatic method to do that, right? But this speeds up quite significantly. Hop, hop, hop. And within a couple of minutes, I have already part of the building done, right? This is already a 3D model, right? So what I'm gonna open my go to view, my section, and suddenly also have this in my section, right? Right. Of course, we could start thinking that this wall on the probably I'm gonna turn on the wireframe so I can see also the so I could also maybe create walls of different thickness along that let's say wall. So the thickness is also variable, but then it will just be too complicated, and we don't want to complicate it right now. But what I'm gonna do now, I'm sorry, is I'm gonna also introduce some slab, some floor here, so you can understand that we don't have to just create something like walls, but also floors. I'm gonna click floor architectural, edit type, again floor 400 millimeters. Maybe I should have measured the thickness of my floor before. Go to view. So this is that a wooden floor. Let's say that I will consider up to here, right? Oh, it's not 0, it's because the scale is too small. Yeah, so let's say that we'll forget about these beams, these wooden beams. So I'm gonna just put just this layer, and it's gonna be 23 centimeters. Okay, I'm gonna close that. And I go back again to floor, edit type, duplicate, generic floor, 23 centimeters. Okay, remember that we are in meters, so if I go and change my thickness to 0.023, okay, and I'm gonna change again the material to concrete. Okay, like something like concrete. I know it's not concrete, but let's simplify something today. Okay, and here I'm gonna look. I'm gonna also use my uh, pick line tool, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just come closer and hit a tab. Wait, sorry. So he's checking a or maybe it would be even better probably to use not this, but select pick walls. Okay, you can pick actually all the walls. Sorry, and go back for a moment. And here, pick walls. Okay, select tab. Okay, so he's basically selecting all these elements, all the, and again here, select. So basically created automatically a line which delimits the. So I have to of course draw the closed perimeter. Okay, so trim, delete element. I'm gonna delete this as well because it's not needed right now. Please note that while I'm drawing, of course, it's happening also here in the 3D view, right? Okay, so this is my approximated floor. If I hit OK, sketch is invalid because here I have some. So you have to be remember about putting all these lines very carefully so they don't overlap. Okay. Oh, not this one. So let's put it. Let's do it quickly here. So here, 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 and here. Okay. So here we have something overlapping. Why we have again pick line. Okay, there was some. Okay, perfect. So now it's done. Of course, what we did here is I've forgot to change the level I was drawing my floor. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna select my. Well, that's what I told you. It's so easy to correct anything. I've selected this floor, and here I have which level is based on. And of course, it's not based on the level 1. My floor, I want now this floor particular, I want to have it on level 2. Okay, now I have my walls which are attached to level 3, right? These walls are coming from level 1 to level 3. Now, what happens if I take it, my level, not even the wall, not even level the wall, right? I'm gonna just select my level, and I'm gonna move it, okay, up to here, for example. Immediately everything has been updated, right? What I'm gonna do next, I will start placing some windows. Okay, I'm gonna look at my floor plan from the top, and I'm gonna turn on the wireframe. Sorry, not here, but here. Okay, shaded view. Sorry, not shaded view. Wireframe. And here I have some window, right? So if I want to insert a window here, it's just about selecting a window. However, you have to remember that Revit has also very, very powerful tools for creating your own something so-called content. So like windows, doors, and so on. This is not time. We don't have time to explore this topic, but nevertheless, just have a look that I'm placing my window here on the level 1, and he's automatically placing my windows also in a 3D view, right? So I have my already some beginning of my BIM model, right? And what you have to remember is that, of course, this is a type of the window, even though it's the width is something like 900 centimeter, 90 centimeters. I can at any time I can of course go and measure that I need the windows which are 1 meter, let's say 15 or 13,5. I can always select this window. These windows are all the same. It's the same type. Now I can change the width from 0.9 to 1.13, whatever there was, right? Apply, everything has been updated, right? All of them. Can you see that? And here I'm gonna just align again and align the window from here to here, so they fit perfectly into these locations which has been assigned. This I can see here. I can see that even here in this case, this window is supposed to be a little bit wider than. So these windows, of course, are not the same. It's a historical building, so it probably will take more time to to create perfect, like perfectly fitting elements. It's possible, and I've seen many projects of historical buildings made in Revit, and it's absolutely possible. It's just the matter of spending a little bit more time on preparing these windows, walls, and doors, and so on for this kind of task. Okay, what I'm gonna do. Let's do one more thing, which is I think super relevant and super let's say useful. What I'm gonna do as a last step here, I'm gonna continue to create my my walls here. Let's say I'm gonna put it here and here. I don't care that this is not exactly the same thickness, but it's not a problem right now. Here he automatically adjusted, you see. So what I'm gonna do here, I will also let's switch it like here. Let's connect them here so they are joined. These are joined as well. Again, the easiness of correcting. Look, I'm gonna click now my floor, edit boundary. Okay, I will delete this because I will have to prolong and will take up to here. Select line, select delete element, and then okay, select this, select this. Here I have some tools like trim. So I'm trimming. They work a little bit different in AutoCAD. Here and here, and of course here I just can take my here, trim again, sorry, here trim, this is trimmed, this is trimmed, this can be removed as well, this one. Okay, I confirm. There's some discontinuity here. Okay, he's also showing me that here there is some problem with yeah, because I have some lines overlapping, and now I can just close my perimeter loops, and now I have already a some, and at this moment I want to show you something. Here we have these walls are not joining, so we have to open the floor plan and connect them. Perfect. Okay, so what happens now is that I want to show you that within just short amount of time I have built up some, of course it's not finished, but I have this kind of a model made out of the 2D drawings. And what the next step, of course, is to get use of a benefit of BIM. Of course, I already have my floor plan, right? I already have my section view, which is here already drawn. I already can start putting some dimensions here, like for example, okay, I'm gonna put my dimension here, okay, 8 meters. Of course I can say I want to change the precision of this from let's say, yeah, unit formats from meters to meters, but with 2 decimal places. Okay, apply. So of course it's not 8 but 774. This is scale 1 to 100, right? If I want to present this model in scale to whatever 200, it's just a matter of changing the scale. And what is also important is that everything updates. So this text remains always the same size, right? What is changing is the size of the drawing itself, right? This is important to remember. And here I can really limit the amount of text. For example, now I can say, okay, I want to measure what is the spot elevation of this place. That's cost 0. What is the spot elevation of this? This is of course 5. If I want to be more precise, I can tell, okay, please again do the same. I want to change the unit formats from meters to meters with 2 decimal places. Then it will come up probably that the precise height of this is not 0 but 4,96 and so on. Create similar and the same here and the same here, right? So I can really start creating like a professional documentation out of this model. The next thing I wanted to show you is that, of course, what else we can do with that? We can go and say view, schedule material takeoff, and I want to schedule all the material out of the walls, okay? And what I want to schedule is material name, okay? I want to schedule material volume, of course. I want to schedule the material area, okay? I hit OK, and what does it give me? It gives me look, if I start selecting this, he's gonna calculate me all the volumes and all the materials. Of course, I can also tell that I want to see at the end. It's just a matter of changing the format of it. I want to see the volume, calculate totals, okay? And the same with area, calculate totals, okay? And also here I need to, in the sorting part, I need to grant totals only, okay? Or if I just want to avoid that he's showing me each single instance of this material, I can also say that in filtering area I can also turn off, itemize every instance. So it means that he tells me that, okay, I have the total amount of this material which walls are made of is 285 cubic meter, and the material area, just the area, is 560 square meters, right? It's immediate. And what is really cool is that, okay, what happens if my model, if it comes out that something has been done wrong in my let's say in my original, so some dimension has been taken in a wrong way in the original 2D CAD, so what happens if I change this right now, right? So I'm gonna just drag it. Maybe let's do it in a way that it will look nice. So I will put it like like this. So it's a we have like a sharp angle here. Okay, so look, if I'm gonna just drag it, and I'm gonna just, and of course look at the here at this area. So if I, for example, put it a little bit lower, okay, you see everything is updating, right? If I just change it, again, everything has been updated. So I have all my numbers under control. So that's why when we say that BIM allows you to control the costs and to give you a better predictability of of the entire investment, right? It's because you've got all this information immediately. You don't have to search for it. It's just here already. You have a model, you have this information about the volume, about the area, but it's not enough. It's not all. Because what I can do, I can go to level 1, okay? And here I'm gonna use a tool called room, okay? And I just place my room, okay? And my room, of course, has this icon can be changed to area. My first area on the floor number 1 is 171 square meters, right? If I go jump on level 2, let me see that. Okay, let me do something for you. Like, okay, I'm gonna do the same, probably the same. Here we will have the same, more or less the same area here. But what I'm gonna do, I will create a wall, a generic wall, whatever, maybe the same even type of the wall, right? And here I can have with area. Look, I have immediately he's able to tell me that shaded view, okay, so that and this is updating immediately, right? So I have two rooms. One is 74 square meters, and another is 93 meters, and I have this information immediately. What I can do, I can also go to view, schedule quantities, open a schedule rooms here, and I want to know which level is the rooms is on, and I want to know what the name has this room, and I want to know what area has this room. Okay, bum. It's I can also go and say, okay, field, give me the grand total, so it calculates me all the totals. Also, the area has to be calculate totals. It's 339 square meters, right? Again, if I open my level number 2 and my schedule of my quantities, right? Look what happened. Okay, I want this room to be renamed to office. Immediately, this change one place, updated in all the depending views. Okay, I'm gonna move this, and this is updated immediately, right? So no matter you change, it's all happening at the same time, right? It's your drawings are being updated immediately. Okay, so it's already 10 o'clock in Poland. It's already 11 o'clock in your time. So I hope that you have some questions. Please, if you have any question regarding this topic, I'm super happy to answer. Okay, for questions. So someone is asking, what if we need to create formwork, plans, or rebar detailing? How difficult would it be? Okay, this is a nice topic. Let me show you something right now before you leave this webinar. Okay, it's a little bit not it goes a little bit beyond, but nevertheless, look. So we have, sorry, it's in Polish. Some things will be in Polish, but I hope it's not a problem for you, because at the end I'll show you the most important part. So look, Revit. Of course, today I've showed you just a little bit part of what Revit can do. Just just a piece, how to convert a 2D drawing into a BIM. Look, Revit. Beside of that, Revit has a fantastic tools that allows you. This is a video from Revit, right? To take your let's say concrete beam, to take your concrete column, to get your concrete floor, and put a 3D reinforcement into that. Okay. The truth is that there are some, let's say, so it's not fully like automatic, in a sense that you need to really like click and say, okay, I want to have 60 rebars, or rebar every 200 millimeters, and then you have to really take an icon and let the the software to, for example, add the dimension. So it's not like fully automatic. It's not a full automat. Okay. There are some things that has to be done manually, but nevertheless, it's like very fast at the end. I mean, Revit allows, it's not, it has completely different, let's say, philosophy like in AutoCAD, and such things are happening some things seems to be slow, but in reality, if you relearn them, then it's really straightforward and it's very, very fast. Okay, and you can really create very, very complete reinforcement drawings. Let me show you this video maybe, right? So we have like dedicated tools in Revit for reinforcement, right? And then it's really automatic sometimes. And sometimes, of course, when it comes to adding a tags, a dimensions, sometimes people complain that this should be a little more automatic, but at the end you have a full control, and it's so transparent, and you have all these quantities, all the schedule, everything, like how many rebars, what's the weight of total of reinforcement of your building. And of course, this reinforcement can have different shapes. It doesn't have to be, they're not just only rectangular, but they can be really, really like complicated things. Right? You can reinforce stair slabs and so on. And additionally, what you need to know, of course, is the fact that we have a lot of, there's a lot of companies, like for example, Sophistic, okay, which is our partner, which is creating some add-ins on Revit, which do some things which are much more, let's say, they extend the standard functionality of Revit, and some things can be just done much faster and much more automatic. Yeah, I hope that I answered somehow your question. One more thing. Revit exists in two flavors. There is Revit LT and full Revit. Okay. If you purchase AC collection, you get a full Revit. Revit LT can be purchased as a separate software. It's much cheaper than Revit, than a full Revit. However, Revit LT does not have, for example, reinforcement. It doesn't have a lot of things which full Revit has. So don't get confused when you see Revit LT, and yeah. I hope that I have answered your question. Yeah. Any more questions? Okay, so if there is no more question, we can close now. By the way, for your information, this webinar has been recorded, which means that if you want to revise it and see this and listen to this webinar once again, please contact the person that has been inviting you for this webinar. So I'm not sure if you were invited by Mr. Kuhn or by someone else, but nevertheless, the person that has invited you to this webinar will be able to give you access to see this the recording from this webinar once again. So if you want to repeat some of this, steps that I did here, it's will be all available for you. So, okay, there was one more question here. Structural detailing webinar. Okay, there was a question when it will be a structural detailing webinar. Okay, I will take into consideration. We will organize such webinar soon. Okay, we have to be somehow consistent and see what people are demanding the most. So yeah, but definitely I will take it in account, and detailing webinar will also be okay. There are some more people interested in structural detailing webinar. Okay, thank you very much for attending this webinar. Again, it was recorded. It will be available to for you to revise it. Thank you very much and have a great Tuesday. Bye bye.